Well, welcome back to another episode of On Spot Sports. I'm Jack, and today's episode we are joined by a very special guest, current professional hockey player Zach Demarce. Zach most recently played in the Michigan Independence Hockey League with the Kalkaska Battlers, as well as a stint in the Federal Prospects Hockey League with the Port Huron Prowlers this season. But before he turned pro, he played 27 games in ACHA with Roosevelt University, getting 13.7 goals, 6 assists in 27 games. And even before that, he played in the NA3HL with the Alexandria Blizzard, the St. Louis Junior Blues, and the Granite City Lumberjacks. And before that, he was in Menominee High School, playing 4 years there. So I'm really excited to get you on, Zach. So welcome to the show, Zach Demarce.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me here, Jack. I've been watching a bunch of your videos. All my buddies tell me it's a good time, and just been watching for a bit, and I've wanted to be on it for quite a time.
Yeah, glad to get you on and get this episode buzzing. Like, been wanting to have you on since like I met you in the season, honestly, and like it's a
Yep.
perfect time now since it's the off season. There's not really that much going on, so what perfect time to do it now?
Yeah, 100%. Perfect.
Yeah, but I first will like obviously you're from Wisconsin, right? You're from Menominee,
Mhm.
Wisconsin. So like
Yep.
obviously you've had a path where you played high school hockey and then you went on to juniors and then played a year in college before making the jump to the professional world. So like what was youth hockey like for you growing up in Menominee, Wisconsin?
Our hometown's usually not the biggest hockey place. It's more of a football town, and everyone here live and breathes football. And I always just played honestly any sport that was under the sun, and just kept going. And then one day, parents ran and put me into hockey when I was 3 years old, and then started skating, had a great time. And then growing up, hockey program's not the best, but one season I want to say we went like 0-27-1. It's not the tough. That was a pretty tough year,
Yeah.
but every other year I'd play up just with my birth year, and we were pretty good. Like a bunch of those guys ended up leaving down the road, and honestly, I always kind of wanted to leave, but I just kind of wanted to stick with my hometown and play with all my friends, and then all these other sports I wanted to keep playing with my buddies. And youth program wasn't the best, but eventually we got through it, made the state twice, and then it's getting better. I want to hopefully try and change the program around here with my business when I'm all said and done with hockey. But then high school wasn't too bad. We weren't the best, and my senior year we made a run. We went to the farthest in playoffs we've been in like 32 years. Made the section finals and lost by one, but it was tough. And then great high school career. At that point, I've always loved hockey and just wasn't sure what sport to play because in high school I played football, baseball, and hockey, and did a little bit of wrestling here and there. And I had some places I was thinking about going for football and then some spots for baseball. But overall, just decided to play hockey and talked to Granite City right out of high school and thought I'd just go there, and always had the dream in the back of my head that I wanted to play further on after college and play as far as I can and play as long as I can. And ended my way getting the juniors, and I was overlooked for a little bit, got invited to the Chippewa Steel and the NA's camp, went there, thought it pretty well, talked to the coach, just wasn't the right spot for me quite yet. So that was all right. Went to Granite City, bust my ass. Love that place so much. That was the most player development I've ever had in my entire career. It was probably the best place ever. I'd recommend those coaches every day. Those coaches put the players first, player development, everything first. Great coaching, push you to be better. And then towards the end of the cut, we had a bunch of NA drops with it being the COVID season.
Yeah.
So that part was kind of like tough, just going. And then it was like middle of January, I ended up getting cut, and I ended up going to St. Louis for a 3 month period, which it wasn't bad, didn't mind it, but ended up deciding after the season I want to come back up into the West Midwest division because I thought it was always the better hockey and kind of want to be a little closer to home, and got up to Alexandria doing that. And honestly, that was probably my favorite year I've ever played of hockey. Probably my best season I've played up to that point. And met two of my best friends, had the best billet family, and it was a great time. It felt like every single day I was living with my best friends, and it seemed the dad that I lived with he wasn't he did not seem like a billet dad. He seemed like another man of the boys, and we did a bunch of things like creating a minibus into like a little arcade, messing around, doing everything downstairs. We had like ping pong table, pool table, and huge projector. It was a good time. And then outside, we had like an outdoor rink with lights underneath for blue line and red line. And then we had a 10-foot pole all the way around with like netting. Everything was sweet. Outdoor speaker. We had a 20-foot little warming area that you can walk to after you get dressed inside. And it was a great time. I absolutely loved it. And to this day, I still talk to them all the time. My one roommate was like right from down the road from Minnesota. The other one was from New Jersey, Sparta. And those two are two of my best friends to this day. And honestly, it was just the best time ever. And it was a hard goodbye leaving. But that from there, I tried finding a different path to college hockey. Wanted to play NCAA, but kept kind of getting overlooked. I had good numbers, just kept getting overlooked with size. Because at the end of the day, I'm only like 5'4", which well, I always hear people say I look taller, but like at the end of the day, it's not 5'8" or anything. So, but you always just gotta keep going and honestly just try going NCAA. Couldn't get anything to bite. Visit a few schools and decided Roosevelt University in Chicago was best bet for me, and went there and had a good freshman year. I was looking forward to going back and had a great season first year of college. It was a little weird getting back into the books, but you always know you got to be an academic weapon in order to
Yeah.
play, and kept going with it, but ended up trying to go back, and then I got a school tuition bill and it rose, so ended up couldn't go back, and from there I tried going Northland NCAA D3. So I was talking to their coach, and then that didn't wasn't going to work out, and I was already signed up for the FPHL free agent camp, which you were actually at too, I
Yeah.
believe.
Oh yeah. Yes, I was.
What
I
team
was,
were you on? Because I
I
was
was
on
on I was
green.
on the green team.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought you were, but I don't think you were in my locker room at all that weekend.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think I stayed with a lot of the goalies. I think there was like all the goalies in my locker room.
Yeah, yeah, because I didn't even have Trey in my locker room. I didn't have anyone in my locker room because I just met Trey literally the first day we were walking out
Yeah.
because we just met each other by. He was like, "Oh, I'm not the shortest guy here," and from then we kind of just clicked it. But yeah, and then went to free agent camp, and then that's when the whole road kind of started.
Yeah, and like
But it was a good
that
path.
yeah, like that's like where I want to like start with like before going back all into the youth hockey days and everything like that. Like it was your first year pro this year with
Mhm,
the Kalkaska Battlers in the MIHL, and then a little stint in the FPHL with the Prowlers as
mhm,
well. So like what was the process like to go to Kalkaska? I know you're at the free agent camp like you just said. So like take
mhm.
us through that, what you learned and like how you found your way to Kalkaska.
So I went to the free agent camp, and I wasn't sure what to expect. It was like just like a lot older, so like I was like kind of I wasn't nervous, but I was like more of anxious. Just wasn't sure what to expect. And then we did all of our teams, and I didn't even get my name called. So I was like, "Oh crap!" Well, I'm like, "Am I not even signed up or something?" And then they just had like a whole miscommunication. So it was all right. So that was like a little bit of a weird start, but I thought the games went really well, produced, showed that I could play with my size, showed that it didn't hold me back or anything. And it was good meeting some people from different areas, still in contact with a few of them. And the camp went well. And afterwards, I talked to Coach Zimmy for Blue Ridge, and he ended up drafting me. So early October, I ended up going down there and was there for a few months, and then made the team, and then wasn't got cut 2 days before our first game, and then he ended up just offering me a spot to practice. So stayed there for a bit to practice, and just talked to him. It was gonna be hard to get picked up anywhere just because like my resume wasn't
Yeah.
built up with only 1 year of college, and So I kind of just stayed there, trying to get playing spot, battled every day. Everyone kept saying like they think I deserve a chance. Thought I'd get one eventually, but after a while, people were saying just go play in the MI, get some games if you're not going to get games here. So right before Thanksgiving, I contacted one of my guys that I train with up in MAP in Minnesota, and he got me a spot in Kalkaska. And then Trey came along with me and brought him with me and from Blue Ridge. So we ended up driving up there and we stayed over in a hotel in Detroit, played in a game the next 2 days, played pretty well. Then after that, we thought we were gonna be homeless for like a little bit,
Yeah.
which was like gonna be kind of wild. But we're like, yeah, whatever, we'll be in Detroit, so it's something's gonna happen, but we'll see. And then we ended up deciding we're like, well, let's just go back to Wisconsin because like we don't want to pay for something. So like we just drove back to Wisconsin, and for the week we just trained because I have a huge barn that's like a roller rink here.
Yeah.
So like we just trained here, and so at this point we've never been to Kalkaska quite yet. And then eventually break was over with, and headed back to Kalkaska, and our first home game was actually against you guys. I think Steele might have been in net for that one,
Yeah.
but I loved Kalkaska. It was a good place. It's a lot like the hometown I'm in now. Small town, not many chain restaurants, but it's a good place. Guys are great. It was a lot of fun. There's a bunch of guys that I met and I'll keep in contact with for a long time. And I know that if I ever come back to the MI, I know I'll be going to Kalkaska. Just great community. I thought we had the best fans in the league. It was always a good atmosphere and wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, like that's like my first game against you guys was in the first weekend of March when we came up to play you
Yep.
guys, and I've told this on the Trey episode, and like I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
the Dallas episode too. Like the fans there, like I could the last 3 minutes of the game, I couldn't even like hear my own thoughts, especially when it was tight
Yeah.
3-2, I think it was. And it was like
Yeah.
a close one. Like you couldn't even hear your own
Yeah.
thoughts. And like that was probably the best atmosphere that I've been a part of. Like Muskegon, like obviously has a good fan base as well. And like I love the fans there and
Yeah.
everything. But like
Yeah.
it was
100%.
completely like I couldn't even hear my own thoughts. And like I was like, wow, like this is really like
Yeah.
what it's all about right here.
Yeah. 100%. It's a great place. And just the feeling of knowing you're playing in front of that many people
Yeah.
and that you mean something on the ice to them all is a great feeling. And I recommend people go to Kalkaska. It's a great time. Go watch the games.
Yeah, and you had 26 points throughout your 15 games in Kalkaska. So like what was it about that success that you had with like individually and like you guys, especially as an expansion team, like you guys had a lot of success as
Mhm.
well being a
Mhm.
first year team.
So like coming to the team, we I heard that there wasn't much to expect honestly, but I wasn't sure. And at that point, I was only doing practices and like scrimmages in Blue Ridge. So I was like, I haven't been in a game for a while now.
Yeah.
Since like the training camp games for Blue Ridge and just like trying to get my feet underneath me. And I knew that like playing at the fast pace of at the Fed would help me in these games and got out there and good. I loved it a lot. Felt really good. My legs felt loose, buzzing around. Anxiousness I thought helped me a lot. Just getting my feet wet right away and knew it was like the first pro level game and it was a great time. We were playing Waterford. I can't remember the score at all. I just remember we lost by a few. I think it was 7-2. But we lost by a few and I remember we played a really good game. I knew we didn't come away I didn't come away with any points, but honestly, it was probably one of my best games. And then at the end of the game, I've never gotten in a fight before, and then I randomly just dropped the mitts with a guy that probably could have called me his child, but ended up holding my ground, so that was a good time. And after that, I just kind of started slowly racking up the points, staying well in the D zone. There were some games here and there right away in the season that like little miscommunications I needed to pick up, and then I scored maybe 1 goal in 5 games and was struggling a little bit. Every day, I'd go out with Trey and Dallas, and we'd work on our shot, we'd work on deception, work on our one-on-one battles. Trey and I and Dallas were out there every single day for, like, a minimum of, like, 3 hours, which there was days we didn't wanna go, we were tired,
Yeah.
but we were dead working out, everything, and we always had to include some fun in it and everything, and recommendation, if anyone's gonna stand in front of the net with Trey when you're practicing, make sure you cover your face. The amount of times I've taken pucks to the head from that kid in practice is insane. But it was a great time. I loved it. And honestly, those hours that us 3 would stay on the ice was, like, a huge reason for my success this year, and honestly, just being able to battle against Trey and Dallas, like, Dallas is a very good goalie,
Yeah.
Trey's a great player,
Oh,
and
yeah.
us 3 going against each other just pushes each one of us to be better every single day, and it gets us ready for our next game, and then a huge part of my success too was our coach, Cam. He used to play in the OHL, then he got injured, but he moved high up in the levels just because his shot, and I've always been a big shot guy, and he taught me a lot about my shot, and once I started doing that, I think it was from, like, game 6 and 7. After that, it was just goals after goals. Just he helped me succeed so much, and even till, like, my Fed game at the end of the year, I generated a bunch of shots. There was one I beat the goalie low glove and smoked the post, but it's alright. I was just hoping that would maybe go in. That would've been first. It'd been good to have a first shot on net going,
Yeah.
but it's alright. We'll get it next
You'll
year,
get
but
plenty of more.
yeah, yeah, hope so. It's a matter of time, I feel. Just gotta keep working hard, but this season was a great year. Started off slow. We ended up getting the team back in the playoff spot, and it was a complete team effort. All the boys helped. Everyone came in. Everyone that came in, everyone knew their role. Everyone was grinding, doing the little things right. That's what helped us, and we had a great series against you guys, and then the last bounce of the series just didn't go our way, and it was all right. It was something I was proud of everyone in the locker room that how what they did, I was proud of them all. It was a great season.
Yeah, and like that playoff series was like you guys came to battle and compete. Like it was a
Mhm.
great playoff series and like it was back and forth. Like I think the first game was like 7-4 and then it was 5-5
Yeah.
going into the third. You guys or it was 4 yeah, it was 5-5. You guys made it 6-5. We tie it up
Mhm.
and then we obviously
Yeah.
we got it in overtime, but like it was still like
Yeah.
back and forth series. Like it was definitely put all of us to the test, that's for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, it was a great games. I It was a lot of fun. It was probably one of the best games that I've liked to play in, and definitely one I will never forget.
Yeah, absolutely. But then after the season, you're able to get that stint with the Prowlers in the Fed. So
Yep.
like, what was that game like for you, and just like what you learn overall from getting into an actual game in the Fed?
That game, it was pretty awesome. Just even walking into the rink through the back door, you could tell it was a lot more professional, and just the way the guys carried themselves, it was way more professional, and just being underneath the stands when you're getting ready to go out there for train my rookie lap, and just adrenaline was pumping and everything, and when we hopped out there and skated around, just seeing everyone up on the glass, it was awesome. It was a great feeling. I was so proud of Trey and I for grinding all year. We always talked about we we thought we deserved a chance, and we made it happen, and we got ourselves there, and it was kind of nice that both got to go there together since we started together in the Fed camp to him going to Carolina. I was at Blue Ridge. He joined me in Blue Ridge, the Kalkaska, and then both heading up there. So that was kind of a good stint. I loved it. And the game felt good right away. I was pretty anxious, but got our feet wet right away, threw some hits around, used my feet, just got adrenaline pumping, and game felt to be pretty good. And then I thought it was a great game to prove to myself and the people that even with my size or coming from the MI that I could play in this level and I can definitely be a player that dominates. But it was a great time and I loved it. And biggest thing I probably learned from the whole season was just keep grinding, don't listen to what other people say. And if you want something, just stick your head down and work towards it, and just gotta be consistent. Can't give up, because the second you give up, you're so close. Just gotta keep going, and if you set your mind to it, you can achieve anything. Just gotta practice like a winner every single day.
Yeah, that's a great mindset to have and everything. Like, just if you keep grinding, keep working as hard as you can, something good is bound to happen. Like that opportunity to open up for
100%.
both you and Trey, and you're able
Mhm,
to you guys believed in yourself and prove that you guys can play and be a dominant
mhm.
player at the next level.
Thank you, yeah. Just gotta just gotta do well at the camps this summer, which I'm confident training's gonna start here soon, so that'll be pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys will definitely make waves at the next camp for sure.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, but I want to get into like your short college career here a little bit. So like
Mhm,
you chose Roosevelt University to go in the ACHA, and you put
mhm.
up some pretty respectable numbers, 13 points in 27 games. Like, what was that year like for you in Roosevelt and like playing at the edge over there? Like that rink over in Illinois and near Chicago is like very good for ACHA hockey.
Oh, 100%. That rink is super nice. It's a big fishbowl, probably
Yeah.
goes about, probably 15 rolls up. It's a super nice rink, wasn't sure what to expect right away. One of my buddies I played juniors with in Grant City, he was there, and he actually is the one that kinda put me in contact with the coach, and then I really like the coach a lot, Billy Carr. The way he shows how much he cares about his players and how much he wants to push the players on and respects them is what stood out to me the most, and he kinda sold me when he was talking to me, and then when I went to their for, little camp just for, all the recruits, that's kinda what sold me. Just the facility we had was super nice. Inside the rink, you had to walk probably, like, 20 yards, but we had a nice little, dry rack area where you put your shoes and clothes, walks into a big locker room that was probably, like, 60 feet by 30 feet, and then there's another hallway with a sauna to our right that was probably like a 10 by 10 with a huge stick rack on the left. So it's a pretty nice area. And then we had a little team training room with a nice cold bathtub. So that was kind of nice. And then we had a little mini weight room in the back. So like it was a pretty nice facility. It was definitely the nicest compared to everywhere I visited. And just being there, meeting the guys, meeting what the coach could do, playing in the games there, just it sold it to me that was the best decision for me. Just unfortunately, it was too much money, but throughout the first season, I started off a little slow, just being a little timid, and first game was against Adrian, so that was a nice warm welcome to the ACHA D1. They were absolutely unreal.
Oh
It
yeah.
was sweet place to play at, rowdy crowd, and it was a great time. Season just started rolling and started dominating games. The first 5 games dominated, but just couldn't find the back of the net. I found, like, maybe the back of the net twice in those 5 games and a few assists, but after that, we went to Western Mission 1 game, and after that was consistently producing, dominating, and first half of the season was great, reflected when I went back that Christmas, and so first half of the season was good. Boys are great guys, coach was good, and absolutely loved it there, and I roomed with 2 kids on the team and then another kid that was in the education, so us 3 got close for the team, and then the other kid named Robbie, he ended up getting super close with us, and he came to a bunch of the hockey house parties, he came to a bunch of the games, and it was a great time. I absolutely loved it, and then we got back from Christmas, and that's when my first season kinda took off, just putting up stupid numbers in the second half of the season. We only played 8 games the second half, but that's kinda where everything started to click and started to get more comfortable, and I think kinda what happened was I went home, just got everything back, just focused in, calmed down, and trained a little bit at the barn I was always training at, and kinda went from there, and it just all exploded when I got back, and Ended up losing a tough game to PNW first round, but it was all right. I ended up missing only 2 games that whole year, or 3. Ended up having a grade 3 AC joint rotation,
Oh,
and that was tough, and I was told I probably was gonna be out the rest of the season, but, just ended up letting the, trainer know that I was gonna play the final game, so just bandaged up and
just a
ended
warrior.
up playing that game. It was all right, a lot of pain, but it helped me a lot, but after the game, I couldn't lift my arm too much, but
Ouch.
whenever the season ends, I always am pretty emotional, and yeah, it was a tough one then because I always think about the next season's not promised. So that was a tough one after that game was done.
Yeah, that just seems like it would be it like you learn a lot from those experiences and everything like that.
Yeah,
And like you're just grinding, grinding, and grinding, and then an injury
yeah,
happens, and you're like, there's only like one game left of this season. Like I got to finish it out. So like it's just like that
yeah,
warrior mentality. Like you're gonna go through a brick wall
yeah.
just to be able to play that last game because, like you said, you never know what's promised for next year.
Oh, 100%. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, so like you played ACHA D1 against some really good team, really good competition. So like what were
Yep.
some of the things and points that you learned throughout that season?
Probably the biggest things were just to get my feet in the door, try not to do too much right away, just to get rolling with the team. Like, it was more of just to get going with the guys, and right away, I was super anxious. I wasn't sure what to do. There was things like I was working hard just trying to get it all going, but there was days that I was, like, nervous, things weren't going my way. But then I just started to calm down. I was always in the back room, stick handling, shooting, trying to get my skills to help me evolve. I'd stay out on the ice for hours after practice. Before practice, I arranged my schedule so then with classes, I could get to the rink early, do everything, work out. And I did a lot of visualization. I started that year because my best friend from juniors I was saying about earlier, he started telling me about something he did with like a notebook, and he writes down everything he does in the day, goals for the day, goals for games, goals for practice. And that's something I started to do from then and do it still to now. And that is something that helped me the most. And I started doing that around Christmas. And that's what I feel like helped me succeed the best. Being able to write things down was probably the biggest reason of my success this year. I felt like it helped me tremendously.
Yeah, so like what do you write down? Like just your goals for practice, your goals for games, and like so like what do you write down when you are like doing visualization and writing the in the notebook?
So for practices wise, each day I go into a practice. If when I'm practicing my skills on my own, I write down every day. I focus on a specific thing, and I'll do like 4 to 5 different things, but I'm not trying to hit different areas.
Gotcha.
Each drill kind of corresponds with something. Start small, slowly build up, and something is I always learned is yeah,
Yeah, I'm there.
yeah. I don't know what's going on.
I think my hotspot might be dying. That's why.
Oh, I gotcha. But something that I wrote, it was like, because if you try focusing on many different things, then you're going to get better a little bit in different
Yeah.
areas. But if you focus one day on one thing, you're going to improve the most at that one thing. You want to put all your focus on one thing. And that's what I started doing. So I put in different drills, how I did in the drills, how I felt, how I feel every morning, how I feel after practice. For goals, I put in for practices, make sure every shot I would hit the net. When we would do D zone, work on when I was doing my winger things, I'd say don't let the puck get to the net. Force the D have to shoot it wide or block every single shot. Or when I'm handling the puck, not having to look down at all, always knowing where the puck is, having crisp tape practices. And then for games wise, I would do like kids always talk about they wanna score, they wanna get points or whatever, but how I feel is if you want that stuff or whatever you want in the game, you have to put your goals down for what's gonna lead you there.
Yeah.
So for me, I was always a big shooter, so I always said each period I want 2 quality shots from the slot, and then I want to at least be a +1 after each game, which then leads into my good D zone, everything. And then depending who the team is, if they're D or shot heavy, block at least a shot a period. And then if they aren't a shot heavy and the wingers and the forwards tend to try and cut to the middle, I always have like a goal as in not letting the wingers cut from the wall to the net and be able to box out and to win every single battle on the wall or the small area battles, and then just always be the hardest worker on the ice. Because if I do those things, I know I can come out of each game saying I worked the hardest,
Yeah.
did everything I could. And that's kind of what I do now for my training too. Each day I just write in my notebook how I feel when I wake up, what I'm going to do for training, do in depth how I felt, how I did, and end the day just writing reflection. And honestly, is the best thing I've done. And visualize each day in season, out of season, and that helps me build confidence. And everything at this point has helped me build confidence just to get me where I'm at, and gonna keep doing it to help me build and build and keep achieving what I want to do.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's just like I love like all the small details because at the end of the day, like that's what's gonna separate you from the other people, and like that's how you're gonna go up the professional ranks is just by mastering those small details. And once you like master
Hmm.
those small details, you just continue to work on them, build those
Hmm.
weaknesses that you have into strengths, and like it
Yep.
really is like a detail oriented profession. Like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
'cause that's what separates you from like guys from the MI to the Fed, SB, and so forth.
Yeah. 100%. That's something I started doing in college, and it was the most beneficial thing for me. And I recommend that a bunch of players start to do it. And with
Yeah,
my training that I train kids around here, I implement that a lot into the kids, and it's helped each one of them tremendously.
yeah, that's awesome. I'm definitely gonna have to start doing that and like see where it takes me, and especially for next season.
Mhm. Yeah, there's something about just writing down helps your body believe, and especially the visualization. You're tricking the body to th for it to or the brain to thinking it's real when even though you're visualizing it, so then when you get into that situation, you're a lot more relaxed,
Yeah,
confident, and everything.
yeah, and confidence feeds everything in the game.
100%, 100%.
Yeah, so you talked earlier about like your junior hockey career and how you that was like the fastest that you were able to develop as a player throughout
Mhm.
that time. So like take us through like that development period, that development process to help you become the person you are today and the hockey player that you are today.
I've always had a strong work ethic and wanting to strive for what I believe in and towards my dreams. And I've always thought about I need to put in that extra work because there's always someone out there and they're always putting in work. So I knew that I couldn't just do a little bit a day just because they're going to be getting ahead. So I had to put countless hours in, more and more each day. And I could never pay for the, like, super nice fancy training stuff, like buying the on ice stuff or paying for programs, so I always had to focus in on the buying, like, plastic tiles for my garage, doing research on my own to find different training ways, advantages over the others, and that's really where I felt like I improved the most, and that's kinda where I incorporate into my training program I own myself. But into juniors, I was doing the same thing. I was always finding extra ice time, extra ways, talking to coaches, finding different ways I can improve, watching practices, watching games, because I feel like that's the best way to improve yourself. And that's just a good way to see where you need to improve because, like, you see stuff as you're playing, but when you're watching, you see a lot more. And so that helped me the most. And throughout juniors, my first year juniors, like, I was comfortable, like, but I was still getting into the groove of it, and I was always doing extra stuff, and then after my first year is really when my training took off, I started doing a lot more on ice. I got in with some people and did a lot more on ice and had good programs to follow. And then my second junior season, I really got comfortable into it. Just had a lot more I felt like I could do, and confidence really grew. And after my second year of juniors, that's when I started going over to this place called MAP over in Minnesota and Wisconsin, and that's where you can skate on ice for an hour. Like your first hour, you're like 20 minutes of just skating, then 20 minutes of skill work, and the last 20 is involving everything you learned that day just into like a game scenario. So like you're incorporating it all into a game right away. And that was probably like one of the best things that helped me. You're playing with like really good players. And I would skate like twice a day. And then I worked with this guy named Pete, and he was the goalie coach there, and he would ask me to shoot on the goalies. Well, then he'd always give me pointers about like what to do on goalies, specifically if they're doing something, and that helped me a lot. And just being able to work out there with a good program and all the coaches, they have connections everywhere, so like they can help me. I always feel like I can ask them for help whenever, and they just have a huge shooting area too that we have access to whenever we want. And just being able to do that the last few summers has been one of the biggest things for helping me develop and build my confidence in my game. And just to this day, I don't know if I could do it without them, just because they helped me build me into the player I am today, and the confidence. And just even when I'm not there, I take everything I learned from them and involve it. Like when I go to the barn and train, I involve all of that. And like I don't have access to right now like all the weightlifting equipment, so like we'll go in the back of the barn, grab logs, and just find different things and like work out. But using all those workouts I have access to from MAP is like a huge thing of why I've been the player I am today, and it's going to help me keep growing over the years.
Yeah, that's huge, especially like putting everything you learned into your development and everything, like what you learned from your first year of juniors, then you're able to put it into like your second year and like even learn
100%.
more about the things that you need to improve. And like just like you talked about, like you were watching practices, watching games, stuff like that. Like
Hmm.
there's so many different resources and stuff now, like with YouTube, like a lot of games are streamed now on YouTube for
100%.
free, or like you can go on live bar and wherever, and like you can literally look at your game, look at what you're doing in practice, and have like ways that, or see ways that you can improve. And like a funny story is like I've literally watched like probably the first game that I played against you guys in Kalkaska. I
Hmm.
probably watched that game like 10 times already.
Yeah.
And like my friend, like she's like, you probably watched this game like 10 times already. Like why are you still watching it? And
Yeah.
like it goes to be like I'm just still trying to learn from that experience, and then learn from
Yeah.
the other games to see what I can do better this summer to get better and really make a difference for this coming season.
100%. It's just like watching over a movie or TV show. Every time you watch it, you notice something new, and
Yeah.
you always don't just want to watch it over the surface. You got to watch like why things are happening and who's watching it, and just got to look at the who, why, and what's all going on and how. But that's like the best way I feel like to improve is watching and really question everything that's going on.
Yeah, and then like my roommate here in Watertown, like we'd literally come home every day from practice, go right on
Yeah.
live bar and watch the entire practice and like slow every single rep that we have down,
Yeah.
just to like be like, what did I do here? Why did it go in? Stuff like
Yeah.
that. So like it's always a learning curve and a learning experience, no matter what.
Yeah, 100%. I believe it's one of the best ways to do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But like you said, like you do a lot of like off season training and all that with not only yourself but with like younger kids, like youth, pro, college as well. So like what is like your off? Because I know it's your full time job right now in
Mhm.
the off season. So like take us back to the origin story of like what created like your business and where it's at now. And like I know you have a roller hockey league in the
Mhm.
barn as well. So like take us through like everything.
So it was when I was like probably sophomore, junior in high school. I was kind of just always hard, and my neighbors always came by, just always watched. I had always a big shooting area. I had like a little bit of a hill I'd do sprints on. Just like I'd make weightlifting area. So it was like the most homemade. hillbilly type of stuff, but it got the job done. And people always just ask me like, "Hey, in the neighborhood, like, could you work with my kids?" So one of the kids I play with, his younger brother wanted some help. He was new to hockey, so I started training him, and they were like the first family I ever started training, and it went pretty good. Just did it for free on the side, just helping out, and did that for like whole summer. And then the following summer, I had like a few families. I was pouring concrete at the time. A few families asked me the same thing, and wasn't really charging anyone just because I just wanted to help. I enjoy helping, and keeps me around the game. And this is like how I started developing my passion for hockey, or like coaching hockey. And I've always knew I want to coach, but like this is what really drove my interest in it. And did it for one summer. Didn't really charge much, and then they just started tipping me towards the end of the summer happened, and then eventually I was like, I really want to start my program. I feel like if I start it now, then I can get this thing going, and by the time I'm done, it's going to be a lot bigger. And last summer was my first time giving it a go. So last year in college, about January, February, I gave it a launch, and start off, I only had like 5 clients. By the time I got back in May, I had about 9. And in the summer, I had like 22, which wasn't terrible. Didn't make the most money just because I was trying to build my program and doing something stuff to make some side cash. And eventually it just got bigger and bigger. And as this year went on, even in this last season, probably grew with like 15 more clients. And now I'm sitting around like 40, 45 clients right now. And summer
There you
hasn't
go.
really even started. So in a week, school is going to be out, and a bunch of clients are starting to go on. And I always wanted to like change the program in my hometown because we're a football town, and I always wanted to develop the culture of like hockey. Hockey's where Menominee's at, and because now it's like, oh, Menominee, they're all about football, but I want to change it to being, oh, these guys are so good at hockey and everything. Because like growing up,
Yeah.
we weren't the best, and we're never looked at the best, and it was always just a football place. But I want to be able to change this area, and I have the barn that can help me do it. Like now, I have the roller league, so I advertise for the roller league inside my business, and I advertise for my business inside the roller league, and it goes hand in hand, and it does really well. And it used to be like small area, just like a regular sized barn, but eventually last summer I started training this guy's kid, started talking. One day he asked me if I could start putting some hay out of the loft. So started throwing some hay out of the loft. We're like, this would be a pretty cool area for a rink. And we're like, well, Eau Claire's selling some tiles. So we're like, why not? So the dad bought some tiles and spent up there like 20 hours and within a week just putting together tiles, and got to be a pretty nice place. It was at the one point it was just tiles with a net. It's like nothing special. And then eventually over time we put a man cave in there with a TV, couch, reclining chairs, a backstop with a net that drops down, putting the net in front of it, AC units for the summertime, heating units for the wintertime because it gets cold and it gets really warm in the summer. So in the wintertime, you have to have some heating because it gets very cold. Like you can see your breath, but it's a
Yeah.
great time. And there's like bats up there, so some guys call it the Bat Cave, but for the most time, everyone calls it the Blue Tile Arena just because there's a lot of blue tiles kind of everywhere. But it's a good time. Kids will come over whenever, and we eventually just started a roller league to kind of bring it into the area because I played a lot of roller hockey in college and wasn't much roller in our area, so we're like, let's change it up a little bit and started a league called the BRHL. Some guys call it the Burl, but just stands for the Barn Roller Hockey League. And we have a bunch of teams in it, so it's fun. We have like an Instagram page for it, just trying to grow that, but it keeps kids in the game. It's a little bit something different, and it's a lot of fun. Kids come over whenever, even when I'm not home, they just go over there, train. I have so many kids that just text me, "Hey, can I just come shoot?" I'm like, "Sure," and stuff. So we're always chilling there, and then I always have hockey games up on the barn TV, so guys can always hang out, watch a movie, or put on hockey games. Like right now, at the playoffs, I'll be running lessons, and there'll be kids up there watching hockey games as I'm running lessons, and it's a good time. I like to go up there. Me and my brother, we train, and then we'll take like a break, watch some hockey, and then go over some IQ stuff. But there's a lot you can do up there. And right now, I'm building a place of my own that's going to be where I live. And then it's going to be a huge hockey barn with like synthetic ice, roller ice, roller rink, and it's gonna have like a little bit of a weight room in there, and just keep growing this business. And it's just a huge part of me, and I always want to be around the game and play as long as I can. So just kind of want to give back and change the culture around the area, and I just hope the kids keep enjoying it.
Yeah, that's huge, and like that's awesome. Like what you're doing for the community and
Mhm.
everything. Like your business is growing. Like you're changing the community to a
Mhm.
hockey town, and it's like at the end of the day, like we all we're all lucky and blessed to be playing this sport. It's
Mhm.
like it's just about like giving back and
Yeah.
having like other people that like other kids that like look up to us, look up to other players like
Mhm.
that we're going for our dreams. So like they can too. It doesn't matter how big or how small
Yeah.
their dream. Like they can achieve it if they really put the work in,
Yeah.
really put everything they have into it.
Yeah, 100%. Like, what's cool is this year I'll be hosting a camp in my hometown, so I'll be running a camp for our organization. So that'll be nice, and just keep it growing and grow a good culture here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I'll link everything below and everything like with your
Okay,
programs and everything like that.
thank
And
you.
like we'll get it going for sure. Keep
Appreciate
getting the
it.
numbers up.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. But like we've talked about like this entire episode, like we've given like multiple pieces of advice and like tips to help
Mhm.
players to continue to get better. So like if you had to like all put it into like one like couple sentences, like what would it be to help players get to that next level?
My biggest thing is always watch film. Don't just look over the surface, but really look into the film. That's the best way to see where you need to improve, and ask questions, jot down questions. I honestly recommend writing down stuff because that's going to help you. And when you work hard, don't just work hard. Anyone can work hard, but you got to
Yeah,
work hard consistently, and you have to work hard with a purpose. If you don't work hard with intentions, then you're just putting your effort into nothing really. But if you
yeah,
work hard with intentions, you're gonna put it into good area, and that'll help transfer to being the best player you can be.
yeah, exactly. I love that piece of advice and like just trust the process, believe in yourself, like really put that work in consistently, even if you don't feel like getting up that day to go work out, go
Yeah.
skate, like go do it, even if it's you're getting like because if you go and work out with intention and like go skate with intention, like you're already getting 1% better
Oh,
that day,
100%.
and like you don't know like someone else may be taking a break that
Yeah.
loses that 1%. So like you never
Yeah.
know. Like you just got to get that edge over the other players.
Yeah, 100%. And if you honestly put your mind to something, you can achieve whatever you want. You just gotta get after it and have a plan.
Yeah, exactly. But before we wrap this episode up, I have one more question for you. It's like, what's been if you had to pick like one moment in your hockey career so far that's been your favorite moment that sticks out, like what would that be?
I would definitely have to say going back to high school, my senior year, we were not good. I think we entered playoffs 3-21, very last seed, and we somehow made it to section finals, which was the first time in like 40 something years. And just the way that no one gave a crap about hockey in our hometown, to everyone rallying around us for that section final game, to having like 5 to 6 thousand people around that game, just felt like we had some belief in us. And it was probably the best feeling ever going into that game, just knowing that a bunch of people believed in us, and so a lot of people doubted us going in, but just being able to put in that game, getting our team to somewhere where no one thought was possible was probably one of my favorite moments to this day.
Yeah, that's huge. That's such a great moment, especially like in a season that has had its majority downs. Like but
Yeah,
you're able to get to the sectional, and like that's like the best that you guys have done. What 40 years that you said? It's like
yeah,
that's an incredible feat in itself.
yeah, 100%. It's a great
Yeah, but
feeling.
yeah, oh yeah, and like that's what you live for at the end of the day is just those up moments, those probably those top of the hill moments, and that was
Yeah,
one of them.
absolutely.
Yeah, but I think this is a great place to wrap this episode up. So Zach, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time, and I want to wish you the best of luck with your career going forward, and hopefully play with each other or against each other next
Yeah,
season.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on here, Jack, and best of luck next year. And I'm sure we'll see each other somewhere.
Oh yeah, absolutely.